Salam alaikum. Maaleko pa kwenda sala or ensada. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing great. Another day, another dollar. Friday. Yes, sirree. Nice day here in Philadelphia. Barometer says 47, but sun is beaming, so it's a little bit little hot in the car. I got the AC on low. You know how it is. Wasting a little gas. Nothing much, guys. I came in today to greet you guys, say hello, wish you guys the best like always. Also, my email address is W3QIN1973. W3QIN1973 just in case you guys want to shoot me an email or something. I want to speak today about not controversies, but things that happen, you know, in the tradition and different ramas, and it has to do with when you receive an nganga or your nganga is being constructed, and you come in and you receive an nganga from an elder, you know, and down the line, you know, through the course of time, months, years, you gain more knowledge, more understanding, and you know, you start hearing different people sharing treaties maybe with you, you know, an elder sharing a treaty, or you start, you know, they ask you where you're from, you know, Rahama, who's your tada, you know, what are you, you know, and you start, you know, talking to a certain type of people, was, you know, you could speak to these people, you know, they're on that level playing with you, you know, or maybe higher, but they there, you know, so you're a little bit more but cautious, and you tell them, you know, yeah, you know, I received this nganga, that nganga, I have this, you know, I do what you know, I work the tradition or whatever, but then you start getting into ceremonies, and not that you are divulging your ceremonies with others, but little things sometimes that you share with other elders and stuff, and they share with you, and but in that conversation, you come to almost like a full stop. And I say full stop because there are things that some ramas do that others don't when they building an nkisi, an nganga, and there are some things that other, you know, houses do that others don't, and vice versa. Whether they were taught it or not, or they just don't follow that practice, they do things differently. You know, it's a different story. You know, it's not. But the whole conundrum starts is when you start thinking about, you know, what the other elder or practitioner talked about with you, about, you know, the how, kind of like not giving you everything, but giving you certain steps or certain things of building an nganga. You know, what is one of like maybe a key point that for them is very important to do before anything, or you know, or after, or in the middle, or whatever, you know. And it makes a lot of other people, especially when you're new in the tradition, it makes a lot of the younger tatas and yayas kind of doubt. It brings doubt in their mind. You know, they start thinking, you know, that their pot and kisi and ganga, you know, wasn't done correctly, or that, you know, they have heard this and heard that, and maybe they heard it from a couple of different elders, the same thing. So they start doubting that the nganga wasn't built correctly, wasn't formed, it wasn't done right. No estaba fomentado bien, no había el fundamento, no está bien hecho. You know, when we say fundamento, the foundation, it wasn't well established, well built, well done, in other words. So they start getting these doubts. And this been something that's been going on for many years. Nothing new, you understand? There are things that, your Rama, your Tata, your Yaya, when they built your Nkisi or your Nganga, whichever it may be, whichever way you may call it, that they did, that a lot of other houses do. But they might have not done something that for a lot of other Hamas is important. And a lot of other Hamas will consider maybe that foundation, that Nkisi, that Nganga, not well built or not functional. And the short answer to that story is that they would be wrong. Why would they be wrong? They will be wrong because you have to remember, as long as there's an Mfumbe there, a spirit, right? As long as there's a spirit in there, remember what I said, as long as there's a spirit in there that you that Tata verified that there's a spirit there, then your Nganga is going to perform no matter what. Is there a possibility that you might have to do something a little different to work with your Nganga? In certain cases, yes, there might be. You might have to do something different in order to work with that Nkisi, because maybe it was missing a ceremony or something that was key, but that doesn't make your Nkisi or your Nganga obsolete, that it doesn't work, that it's no good. No, on the contrary, it works. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second, please. So, sorry guys, still doing deliveries. 4 o'clock, and I'm doing deliveries. So, it doesn't make your Nganga obsolete. It doesn't make your Nganga not functional. It doesn't mean that your Nganga doesn't work. There's a lot of Nkisis here built, and a lot of Ngangas built all over the United States and other countries, that when they build them, they're missing certain fundamental procedures. And because you don't know, nobody told you that they did it or they did not do it, they're around, right? And they doing their thing and they're working. There are a lot of Ngangas out here that there's Ngandos that don't have it. When they were building it, they didn't have a certain Ngando or something. At that time, at that moment, they couldn't find it. It was impossible for them to get it here in the States. What do you think? That they did not build the Nganga because they didn't have a certain Ngando? No, they built it. But what happened? Down the line, they added the Ngando. They put the Ngando or the Ngandos that they were missing. I don't know if you guys ever heard, but a lot of the elders, and I say a lot because the majority, they're constantly adding. Some change things around, and then gangas at a certain time, certain whatever, they change things around. A lot that I know, they add things to the nganga. But and some ask if they can add, and some don't. Some just add it. To each his own. You know, like I said, for me, anything that I do, I ask. I just don't add something to it because I feel like adding to it. I don't take nothing out of it because I feel like taking it out of it. No. I ask. But that's besides the point. There are a lot of people having gangas built here. Like I said, once again, they are functional, they work, and don't have things in them that some of the other lineages have in their ngangas, or doesn't have a certain tratado that maybe another lineage has, or some of the other lineages has, and vice versa. Maybe those lineages don't have something that you have. You understand? This is where this whole thing comes up, you know, and all this fuss and all this thing. Yeah, I understand that's a right way of doing things. But whoever built the nganga for you, the Tata was a good man. He wasn't a scammer. And he built an nganga the way he was taught how to build an nganga. What are the procedures? What to do, what not to do, everything. And you receive an nganga. Is that man bad? Did that man rob you? You see, because now you start putting the elder and making the elder look bad. You start making the elder look like he don't know what he's doing. You know, these are things that are very, very, you know, very funny to touch on, because, you know, you got to watch it. You know, but at the end of the day, that's an infuma there. Now, when an nganga is built with certain fundamental processes and certain fundamental treaties, tratados, that the nganga performs better, if you want to put it that way, better. But whether you have a treaty or don't have a treaty, the nganga is going to work no matter what. Is it going to work at its full potential? That's a different question. You understand? Could you work with that nganga the same way somebody else that did another type of, you know, some other fundamental tratados and stuff with nganga, and don't have to do certain steps because it was already done to the nganga? Depends. You might have to. You know? Like I said, these topics are very touchy topics. And a lot of people don't speak about these things because you can't give things out. And it becomes a he say, she say, and it brings conflict between elders and against each other, and that's the least that you want. You don't want problems, not because you're worrying about somebody doing, you know, some, you know, sending something to you or whatever. Because I ain't worrying about none of that. You know what I mean? I have a different concept and a different way of looking at things, and I don't worry about none of that. As long as I'm clear, you understand, in myself. So it brings conflict, it brings problems, and it brings things, and that's where we get all this thought that's no good, this thought that's a scammer, oh, you can't trust this person, you can't trust that person, oh, because everybody is thinking that everybody does the same thing, all the same. Are they fundamental things that have to be done? Yes, they are. Certain things that all Nganga should have. Minimum. The minimum things that an Nganga should have, yes, it should have it. The procedure should be done to it. Whatever it may be. You see, I'm not saying what procedure, what tratado, what engando. None of that. Because you're in your lineage, I'm in my lineage, and I'm not here to judge or to talk about anybody's rama or how they got and received their things. The more knowledge you get, the more your elder opens up with you, or the more other elders that you speak to open up with you and show you things and all that. Hey, if you learn something and it doesn't go against your rama, your tronco mayor, then hey, you're tata already, right? And you feel that concern, take your Nganga apart and redo the things that you need to do to it if you really feel that it's necessary, and that's it. And the story's over. Understand? For your next Nkisi, your next Nganga, then at least you know that you have to do certain things this way and that way, and for it to be, for at least the fundamental parts or things or treaties or engandos or kuriengandos or whatever you want to call it, whatever, that is done. But does your Nganga work? Of course it does. It has a muerto in there, of course, right? You're going to tell me people that have spiritual pots, they don't have a lot of the things that Ngangas have, their things don't work? They work too. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, que sambe la kutare. Please leave a comment if you feel like it. Be safe, be blessed. Talk to you guys next week if I get a chance. Have a great day.